Hey everyone, this is Nick and I'd like to welcome you back to the next video in our series covering the Cloudera Data Engineering Experience. Today, we're going to expand on the previous video and look into some of the more advanced features available within CDE. We won't be going over the basics this time around, so if you've never heard of the Cloudera Data Engineering Experience, go take a look at the first video in the collection. That'll go over the basic features and how to get started. For this example, we're going to put ourselves in the shoes of a data engineer that's been tasked by the state of Texas to go pull publicly available data from the Paycheck Protection Program and create two specific reports to gain some insight into the effects that program had within the state of Texas. To generate these reports, we're going to make 3 Spark jobs designed to handle various aspects of this new process we're creating. We'll need to pull this data in, transform it, load it into Hive, and finally, create useful reports out of it. In order to pull this data in, we've made a Spark job for each dataset, mainly because there's 2 different data sources and they're both in different formats. This can also help down the line, since in a real-world scenario, we can expect the dataset schema may change over time. This will allow us to only change 1 Spark job per dataset that changes. We also have 1 Spark job dedicated to creating the reports by running Hive queries on the data once it's made its way in. This way the data engineer can easily tweak or add reports all in one place. Now let's take a brief look at the Spark jobs that we'll be running. First job is going to take the larger dataset that has all loans greater than $150,000 and contains data from every state. This job is going to pull the data from a location on an S3 bucket, then filter the data to grab only the Texas results, do some regular expression matching to turn text into useful dollar values, and finally insert the clean data into Hive. The second Spark job is going to follow a similar path, but for data from the loans smaller than $150,000. Ingesting from an S3 bucket, filtering out any unneeded columns, and inserting the finished data into the same Hive table as the previous job. At this point, we've transformed both data sets so that all the columns match. The final Spark job is going to be responsible for taking all this data and running queries to come up with tangible results. These queries will insert into much smaller tables, making it easy to create reports or visualizations down the line. Now that we've got our jobs created, we need to deploy them into our data engineering virtual cluster. If you watched the previous video in the collection, you'll see that one way to do this is to navigate to the virtual cluster UI and upload the job files along with the relevant information needed. This time around, we'll be taking more of a programmatic and scalable approach. One important feature that the Cloudera Data Engineering Experience boasts is the ability to interact with it via either a command line interface or a RESTful API. This allows developers to set up automated tasks and greatly improve their workflow. In this example, we've set up our IDE of choice to run a sequence of commands to use the Cloudera Data Engineering command line interface to make it so that whenever we save our file, it'll automatically create the needed resource, which is the Python file, create or update the job and link it to said resource, return confirmation that the job has been updated, and finally, launch the job for you and return you the job ID that it just created. If we hit save, we can see it in action below. Now that our job is started, we can go into the UI and track its progress. Note that this can also be done via the command line interface and the API. Now that the job is complete, we can check a visual analysis of the various stages as well as the logs that were output. It all looks good. So now we're going to take this just a little further and actually go and look at the reports that we've processed. To do this, we're using the Cloudera Data Warehouse, which gives us easy access to the Hive data in which we've stored both the raw data and the reports. We've set up a basic dashboard tied to the results of the report, and we can now get a quick visual representation of the final product from our Spark jobs. Thanks a lot for watching today. Please let us know in the comments if there's any topics that you'd like us to cover, and subscribe to be notified whenever any new videos are released. If you have any questions, you can always head to the Cloudera Community, where there is a large knowledge base to help you overcome any challenges along the way. We'll leave a link in the description below.